Why is letting go so hard? We cling to memories, to old pains, to what-ifs. We carry the past like a heavy bag of stones, long after the journey should have ended. We think holding on keeps us safe. But what if the thing we are holding is the very thing holding us back? What if letting go was not an act of losing, but an act of liberation? This was the truth that trapped Alistair. His world had become small. It was confined to the four walls of his home, where dust motes danced in the slivers of light that fought their way past heavy, drawn curtains. Days bled into one another, marked not by the sun, but by the endless loop of memory playing in his mind. In his hand, he held a small, silver locket. Its cool metal was a constant, familiar weight against his palm. He would stare at it for hours, not truly seeing it, but seeing the world it represented. A world that was gone. A phone would ring, its sharp, electronic plea, a trespasser in the quiet sanctuary of his grief. He would ignore it. The calls were from friends, from family, from the world outside that insisted on moving forward. But Alistair could not. He was a ghost in his own home, a statue in the museum of his past. He was trapped in a single, perfect, painful moment, while the current of life, represented by that unanswered phone, flowed on without him. One afternoon, at his lowest point, a desperate need for air propelled him out the door. He walked without direction, his feet carrying him through unfamiliar streets, until he found himself at an ornate iron gate. It was the entrance to a vast, quiet public garden. He wandered in, the sounds of the city fading behind him, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. He walked past sections bursting with late-season roses and manicured hedges, but his aimless steps led him to a more secluded area. It was the autumn section. There, an old man was working. He moved with a slow, deliberate grace, his back stooped from a lifetime of labor, yet his movements were light. He was a gardener, but he was not planting, he was not pruning, he was calmly raking piles of dead leaves, glorious, fiery leaves of red, orange, and gold. They formed beautiful, temporary monuments on the grass. The man's name was Soren. Alistair watched for a long time before approaching. The gardener looked up, his eyes kind and clear, and simply nodded. The quiet invitation was all Alistair needed. The words tumbled out of him, a torrent of grief held back for too long. He spoke of the locket, the memories, the suffocating weight of it all. "I cannot let go," Alistair confessed, his voice cracking. "It feels like forgetting. It feels like I am betraying the memory. If I let this go, what is left?" Soren did not reply immediately. He leaned on his rake and bent down, picking up a handful of the fallen leaves. He held them out on his open palm for Alistair to see. They were a mosaic of color, each one a perfect, intricate little death. "They are beautiful, are they not?" Soren asked, his voice as soft as the leaves themselves. "Look at this color, this shape. Each one tells the story of a summer." He gently closed his hand, the leaves crackling softly. "When I rake them, I am not throwing them away. I am not disrespecting their beauty. I am making room." Soren then raised a hand and pointed to a magnificent old oak tree that stood nearby, its branches reaching towards the sky like skeletal fingers. It was completely bare. "Tell me," the gardener said, "if this tree refused to let go of its leaves, if it clung to them with all its might through the wind and the snow of winter, what would happen in the spring?" Alistair was confused. He looked from the gardener to the tree. I don't know. The new buds," Soren explained, his gaze fixed on the bare branches. the new life, it would have no space. It would have no energy to grow. The old leaves, once a source of life, would block the sun. The branch, burdened by what it refuses to release, would eventually weaken. It might even die. He turned his gentle eyes back to Alistair. The tree must let go of this season's beauty to make space for the next. It is the law of life. Soren took a step closer. You, Alistair, are this tree. You are holding on to the leaves of a past season. A season that was beautiful, I have no doubt. But it is winter now in your heart. And by holding on so tightly, you are not honoring the past. You are preventing your own spring. Letting go is not forgetting. It is an act of trust in the seasons of your own life. It is making space for life to continue. The words landed not in Alistair's mind, but in his soul. He looked from Soren's face to the great bare oak, and then to the vibrant pile of fallen leaves at their feet. And in that moment, a bolt of lightning, a profound realization. The leaves were not gone. They were here. Their beauty was still real, but their time on the branch was over. They were not garbage to be discarded, but a part of a cycle. They would break down, become part of the soil, and feed the very tree that released them. He had not been honoring his memory. He had been stifling his life with it. He had been trying to force a dead leaf to stay green. Letting go was not about destroying the past. It was about accepting the cycle. A wave of release washed over him, so potent it felt physical. It was like an old, tight coat he had been wearing for years had finally been unbuttoned. He could breathe. Alistair returned to his home. It was still dark, still dusty. He still held the locket in his hand. The grief had not vanished. The sadness was still there, a quiet ache in his chest. But something was different. The weight was gone. He walked to the window, the locket still in one hand. But with his other hand, he reached for the heavy fabric of the curtains. He pulled them open. Sunlight, bright and unapologetic, flooded the room, illuminating the floating dust, transforming it from a sign of decay into a dance of light. The phone rang, the same sharp, intrusive sound. But this time, he did not flinch. He looked at it. He took a breath, a deep, full breath of the sunlit air, and he answered. He was still sad, but he was no longer stuck. He was making room for spring. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that explores the deeper parts of our shared human experience. Take care and be kind to yourself.